What cringy things did you do as a teen? I was at a sleepover from a girl I had a crush on when I was 14. After that sleepover she wanted to go shopping with some of her friends that also stayed the night. I asked if I could accompany them. They were clearly trying to tell me they didn't want me to accompany them. But I didn't get the hints. In the end, they ran away as fast as they could, pretending to run to get the bus. At first I tried to follow them, but then I finally understood and stopped midway, asking myself how stupid I could be. Edit, remove some comata. 2. Edit, to clarify some things, me and the girl were really good friends and I wasn't the only guy at the sleepover. But I would have been the only guy going shopping with her and 2 other girls. Ugh, where to even start, man? I would take angsty, really awful photos and post them online and call myself a photographer. It was my art. One photo I remember in particular was of an old candle I had found. I poured sparkly red nail polish on it that was supposed to be blood and stuck a bunch of razors in it. It was a reflection of my tortured 13-year-old soul. I spoke with an American accent. I'm British. Figured out my life. At 16. I got a part-time job bagging groceries. I had a girlfriend. I didn't need anything else my life. I could support Heather and myself on my 9-hour a week, and I'm pretty sure, under minimum wage job. Duck school. A real thing I said to my mom was, "You don't understand love." She had been married to my dad for 20+ years up to this point. What Heather and I have is real. I was so obnoxious and claimed that I was so different and that no one could understand me. Oh, and I would also say things like I'm not like the other girls. I don't like having girlfriends, there's always too much drama, while being queen of the drama queens myself. Only wore black and neon pink clothes. Yeah, and think about bright neon pink pants and a t-shirt with feathers round the edges. Oh yeah, and I called myself a fairy. Even made big fairy wings that I actually wore on the street. OMG, I'm so cringing right now just thinking about it. My parents let me do it because they thought it would be funny to remind me of this later when I grew out of the phase. Of course at the time I'd be like, but moo it's not a farce, I'm a fairy, that's who I am. God, if I could go back in time I'd punch myself in the face. Pierced my eyebrow with a safety pin. Was at a birthday party and had to pee. Decided to step toward the edge of the woods and let it flow. Then heard a scream. Peed on my girlfriend's best friend while she hid during a game of hide and seek. Interesting relationship after that. Why did you remind me? So many things. I used to take black and white photos for my MySpace page with half my face covered in some way because insecurities. Then to top it off I'd put My Chemical Romance lyrics on every picture to show how deep I was. Super cringy. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me. I had a big crush on a scene girl when I was a junior. So I bought bright white skinny jeans to try and impress her. She called me Mr. Clean. Me. At 12. Decided to be a part of the school talent contest. I thought it would be entirely appropriate to do Steve Allen's version of Donna Summer's Hot Stuff, where he reads the lyrics. You know. Because a 12-year-old girl can totally pull off her NSFW comedy routine done by a middle-aged man. I once literally wrote the word trouble all over me with a Sharpie and took a shirtless pic to post to MySpace. I was like a super skinny emo kid. Oh god. Why did you remind me of this? Me at 13 made my GF sit through the entire Linkin Park Hybrid Theory album to explain why we couldn't be together anymore. Take pictures of me working out with cheaper shades on. And then send it to girls who asked for a pic on Yahoo Chat. I was scrawny af too. Lol, cringe so hard thinking about those pictures. I was an ekbert. Nice guy. White knight. Used to write love poems and do the whole lady thing when speaking with a girl I was interested in. I used to protect the honor of girls I fancied by threatening their boyfriends with harm if they ever treated them wrong. 15+ years ago and I still cringe hard when my friends make fun of me about it. The same shit my 2 teenagers are currently doing. That's right folks. You have to experience it all again. It's a cringe fest. Wear my hair over my eyes. Raccoon eye makeup. My middle nephew did this thing with his hair where he'd wear it over his eyes. Then flip it out of the way of his eyes. Then immediately shake his head so the hair was back in his eyes. Oddest ducking thing to watch someone do voluntarily. Live vicariously through my classmates. To the point that I never had any really relationships because I felt like I wasn't capable of handling them. Instead I manipulated classmates I was attracted to into getting into relationships with each other so I could vicariously experience the relationship from both sides. I haven't spoken to anyone from high school in years, and if I ever run into any of my old classmates I'll likely have a lot of apologies to make. Though to be fair, if that's how I was at the time, then I probably really was in no way ready for a relationship. In 9th grade, I carried around Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace just to look smart. Didn't make it through the first 100 pages. As a preteen, I would stand with the mannequins in the front of shop windows and pose like them. I thought no one could tell that I was real. I dated a 32-year-old recently who thought I was really lame for not thinking that was a hilarious thing to do with him. Seeing how I'm still a teenager, these are all LPTs for me. I had a set of decorative swords. So I'd go about my room pretending to fight someone as if I was in a movie or some shit lol. I'm just glad I never got caught, haha. I didn't wash enough. And smelled too much. My brother's friends smelled like a pond. They used to congregate in my parents' house and stink the place out. We used to call them the hamster cage. Seen hair. But I was too lazy to actually style it, so it just looked like bad anime hair. In secondary school, about halfway through, I thought it would be genius to pretend I was American. I'm from London. And had known some of these people from primary school. I would go around teaching people how we American people talk. So if someone said something British, that is rubbish. Holiday. Pavement. I'd get firmly on my horse and say it's actually garbage. Vacation. Sidewalk and saunter off. I hate myself. This is painfully cringe, but when I was like 15/16, my partner and I were still experimenting, and I can't remember how. But blood was brought up, and like, I always thought vampires were kinda cool and sexy, and having seen it in countless movies, I thought it would be sexy to cut my bob and let him drink it. I mean, it was fun in the moment. And I'm not gonna lie, I still smile when I look at the scar. I should have used a thinner blade, but I realized how cringy it was when I realized I didn't want to tell my friends about it. Because it was too weird. Wore a dog collar. I let a dude pee on my foot at a party because I thought it would make me look cool and aloof. I was just known as Pissyfoot Girl until I blessedly moved far, far away. Ooh buddy. First GF. Making out in her bed. A young lad ripe with lust. I'm on top of her. Most likely no idea what I am doing. Fast forward. Father enters the room. He clearly sees everything. In my fear and entrained response, I jolt off of her. Towards the foot of the bed. In the moment I must have been completely mindless as I grabbed the remote off the dresser and began to stare at it. As if that was what I was doing the entire time. Just staring at a TV remote. Her father witnessed every moment of this. My girlfriend just ducking stared at me in disbelief. The father, who was a super cool dude, didn't even care that we were making out. But just shook his head and walked out. I think about this way too often. And feel the cringe deep within my soul. I don't know why I did it. Why it happened. Duck. I am cringing right now, oh god, it's horrible. I can't believe I'm posting this, but I used to buy those cans of spray hair dye, specifically blue. Gel my hair on the sides to form two horns and then apply the hair dye. I did this until about junior year when the school administrator called my house. They were complaining about the smell of the dye and how I'd always run through the halls making a who's 00000-osh sound. Crushed so hard I did a tattoo of his initials on my palm. which consisted of putting ink on a piece of cotton and threading it through the top layer of skin. Lasted about 2 days before it washed out. Run with my arms behind my back like in Dragon Ball Z. I was pale and wore baby powder as face powder, thus adding to my lack of color. Probably really cryptic. Edgy MSN screen names. Thought it was cool at the time. Now I know better. I tried to be really edgy. Like I didn't wear edgy clothes, but the moment I started taking it, no. I painfully cringed thinking about poetry in English class during that year. In early middle school I joked in class that I wanted to be a gynecologist when I grew up. The teacher, a coach type, had the good sense to calmly tell me not to joke about that. But damn does it make me cringe remembering that. Long hair and fedora all the damn time. At least I did get compliments on my naturally straight hair. But the fedora did keep most people at bay. I read my teenage diaries recently. The narcissism was off the charts. I genuinely was convinced I was so bloody clever and no one could ever understand the complexity of my thoughts. What rubbish. Used to sneak around school to spy on all the boys I had crushes on. I eventually grew out of this phase, but occasionally catch myself spying on my husband because he's a cutie. And because you can't trust no itches. Oh god. All throughout high school I was the cringiest duck I knew. From what I wore to what I said. Everything. One time specifically, I was in French class, and the teacher asked who took her marker, and jokingly blamed me. So my brain decides to fart right at that moment. I said something along the lines of you know. I mean. Aha. I'm gonna stop talking now. Kept the laughing going for an uncomfortable amount of time. And even heard another kid in the class go, "That's a good idea," in front of everyone. And the girl that I liked. It was so cringy that no one even laughed at me. Middle and high school were the worst experiences of my life. This is tame compared to the shit that I have done. I did absolutely nothing and sat around depressed. I wish I could have simply not cared and done a bunch of things I would see as cringy today. I was too afraid to do anything at all and did nothing. Most boring life possible. You guys all did stupid stuff and didn't care even though it was stupid. I did the stupidest thing of all. Nothing. Spent all my time trying to impress girls on MySpace. Now I spend all my time trying to impress strangers on Reddit. So much more sophisticated. I used to wear a trench coat and actually velcroed school supplies on the inside of it like that kid from Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Got red highlights and used to wear t-shirts with edgy quotes. Worst part about it is my friend found my old profile picture when I had the highlights, and for the last couple years on my birthday he posts the picture and says happy birthday. It's been so and so years since this. I was sitting about this very subject this morning when I was sitting in a meeting. I went to an all-boys school, so appearance and uniform rules were very strict. As I was going through my emo phase at the time, I had longish hair that I would brush to meet uniform standards, but on the weekend I would brush it up into a mohawk. I look back now and I wonder how my parents let me walk out the house. It looked so bad. That coupled with the brow piercing that I got on my 16th birthday, which got infected one day after, was so cringe inducing. Internal edge equals external cringe for everyone else.